abolishing the use of electronic cigarettes. E-cigs are an electronic cigarette for short. It's a battery-powered device that is filled with liquid nicotine for when heat is applied, then it's dissolved into a water solution or vapor. How it works is that you take a puff from the end of the cigarette tube and the battery heats up the nicotine. When it does, it becomes a vapor and it's inhaled into the lungs. In doing this, it's supposed to create a sensation of smoking in the mouth and in the lungs without having the harm of smoking, as which most people believe is true. Another term people call it is vaping. We still don't know all the effects from smoking electronic cigarettes, and we won't know them all until later on, like we did with people smoking tobacco. People didn't know back in the 1920s that using these, it would give you cancer, lung disease, or the loss of your teeth. There was a situation where doctors had raised concerns about e-cigarette vapor separate from those about nicotine. A 42-year-old woman who has used e-cigarettes for 7 months experienced shortness of breath, cough, and fever over the same amount of time. The diagnosis was lipid pneumonia, a chronic inflammation caused by fatty substances in the lungs due to e-cigarette use. The specific cause was repeated exposure to glycogen-based oils found in the e-cigarette nicotine vapor. The patient's symptoms improved after she stopped using e-cigarettes. Another study showed that based on a level of 14.4 milligrams of formaldehyde and a known carcinogen, it would be estimated inhaling 3 millimeters of electronic cigarette liquid in the aerosol form would lead to a lifetime risk of cancer out of 4,000 out of a million, nearly 5 times larger risk than smoking cigarettes. The cancer risk might be substantially higher because the type of nature of the formaldehyde created by the vaping process. Another worry is the refillable cartridges used by some e-cigarettes. Users may expose themselves to potentially toxic levels of nicotine when refilling them. Cartridges could also be filled with substances, drugs, other than nicotine, thus possibly serving as a new potential dangerous way to deliver other drugs. The dangers of electronic cigarettes in a 2010 research paper published in Tobacco Control suggests that e-cigarettes lack important regulatory factors, such as essential health warnings, proper labeling, and clear instructions on how to use them, and safe disposal methods. The authors of the study also found that some of the e-cigarette cartridges leak, which could cause toxic exposure to nicotine. Following a failed attempt in 2009, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last year proposed new rules to regulate e-cigarettes. The rulemaking process allowed for stakeholders, including the public, to weigh in. The comment period ended in August 2014. Regulators received 135,000 remarks and are still sifting through them more than 1 year later. This evidence proves that the FDA does not take this seriously and won't regulate these devices like they should. There has also been many cases where the devices have blown up. For example, there was a man that had one in his pocket and he reached in his pocket to get money and the device have caught his pants on fire. The man received third-degree burns and had to have surgery. There have been 22 such incidents reported since 2008. When these products hit the market, said Tom Kilias of the Tobacco Vapor Electronic Cigarette Association. Electronic cigarettes can lead to smoking traditional tobacco. And a 2012 headline for CNN states that the Center for Disease Control announced that e-cigarette use among U.S. middle and high school students doubled between 2011 and 2012, mirroring a similar increase in adult use. Most alarming for policymakers, CDC concerns that vaping among adolescents may serve as a getaway for tobacco use. Data from CDC finds that the use of e-cigarettes among U.S. high school students grew from 4.5% in 2013 to 13% in 2014. In that same time period, youth began to grow between middle schoolers from 1% to 4%. They found vapors were more than 3 times as likely to have begun smoking cigarettes by the next year compared to never smokers. Another study also found the effects of e-cigarettes was independent of other factors that encouraged teens to pick up the habit, such as rebelliousness and lack of parental support. Since the invention and the use of electronic cigarettes for teens, it looks more appealing, as cool as they say and they think, that it's less harm than tobacco, and it's actually the same, if not possibly worse. And using these electronic cigarettes, they are becoming more dangerous and toxic to more and more people every day. They are affecting the lives of more teens and younger adults more than they should, because it can become the new cool. And using these smoking device mechanisms, it can cause more people to have the risk of getting cancer or lead to the probable use of using tobacco products instead. People should stand up in abolishing the use of electronic cigarettes so that people can live longer, happier lives without giving people's body more of a chance to receive any more health issues. I have pictures of a healthy lung. This would be like a good, and then like here's an x-ray of if you smoke e-cigs, and the lung should be black, but it's not, and it has like white, which means you could have popcorn lung, and it's not healthy. So if you use e-cigs, this is what your lung would look like rather than this.